The person who died was Big Phil,
yeah.
friend from childhood, close friend.
Yeah.
So losing him was extra painful.
Yeah, I think it was more painful because I knew those bullets were meant for me, you know, and I didn't get hit at all. And he was closer to me than you are. You know, I think that made it hurt even more.
Rapper T.I. performed at Bogart's earlier in the night. After the show, he partied at Club Ritz on Seymour, and that's where police say all the trouble started. 3 members of T.I.'s entourage and a woman were shot on Paddock Road, and we're hearing that one of those men has died.
T.I. once said that 2006 was the most rewarding year of his career, and he wasn't wrong. That was the year everything finally fell into place. King debuted at #1. His face was on movie posters. Awards were coming in. Shows were selling out. It was the kind of run every rapper dreams of, but that same year also turned into the darkest chapter of his life.
I apologize because, you know, I felt that, you know, all of those rounds were fired for me.
While hip-hop almost lost one of its rising stars, T.I. lost something far more personal. He lost his best friend, Feuds Johnson, aka Big Phil, killed in a split second after taking a bullet that was meant for T.I. Let's get into it. Feuds Johnson and T.I. both came up on the west side of Atlanta, in Bankhead, long before the area had coffee shops, condos, or a rebrand. In the 1980s and 90s, Bankhead was the mud. Everybody knew everybody, and loyalty mattered because the streets didn't forgive mistakes. Feuds was born around 1980, raised in the same harsh conditions that would later inspire the sound and language of trap music. Around that same time, Tip was coming up too. They were childhood friends. Their bond was built on cracked sidewalks, corner conversations, and the shared understanding that if you wanted something, you had to take it yourself. He has never really sugarcoated that part of his past. He said openly that as a teenager, he sold drugs because he felt boxed in. Bills had to be paid, family had to eat. Options were limited. That hustle earned him the nickname Rubber Band Man because of the rubber bands he kept on his wrist, each one representing money and product.
Rubber band, man, we used to wear rubber bands to signify like how much money, how much blow we had. You know what I'm saying? We had, what, 3 rubber bands that'll probably hold about $5,000.
That environment shaped both men, but in different ways. T.I. had the voice, the charisma, the presence. He was the one who could talk his way into and out of situations. Feuds, on the other hand, was quieter. He was muscle, but more than that, he was the heart, the stabilizer, the guy who made sure things didn't spin completely out of control. When T.I. began inching away from the streets and toward the studio, Feuds stayed right by his side. He wasn't left behind when the music started moving. When T.I. signed his first deal, and later when he formed Grand Hustle Entertainment, Feuds was there. Officially, his title was personal assistant and security. Unofficially, he was the firewall, the one person in the room who knew Clifford Harris the man, not T.I. the rap star. In the music industry, job titles don't really tell the full story. Feuds wasn't just carrying bags or opening doors. He handled problems before they became headlines. He read rooms. He enforced boundaries. When chaos crept in, as it always does when fame and money show up, Feuds was the one standing between T.I. and whatever storm was forming. By the early 2000s, T.I.'s momentum was undeniable. After a rough start with Arista Records, he went independent with Grand Hustle and dropped trap music in 2003. That album shifted the culture. Trap wasn't a regional sound anymore. It was a movement. Feuds was part of that rise. You'd see him in the background of early photos, in music videos, in the entourage. If you watch the video for 24s closely, you'll spot Feuds riding shotgun while T.I. drives. Feuds was also closely tied to PSC, the Pimp Squad clique. This was T.I.'s inner circle. Big Country King, Mac Boney, C-Rod, guys who had been grinding since the late 90s, selling mixtapes out of car trunks, pushing their sound any way they could. Feuds' role was behind the scenes, keeping the machine running, coordinating movement, managing schedules, creating space between the artist and the world. By 2006, everything had changed. T.I. released King, which debuted at #1. He starred in ATL. Awards started stacking up. The money came fast. For a crew that grew up with nothing, it felt unreal. They were flying city to city, selling out shows, living in VIP sections they used to only see in music videos. T.I. later called it the most rewarding year of his career. But success brings friction, especially when you mix street loyalty with industry pressure. You take a group of men who grew up demanding respect just to survive and drop them into clubs full of strangers, jealous locals, and alcohol-fueled egos, and things can get tense fast. Feuds was the one making sure lines weren't crossed. That's how we get to May 3rd, 2006. T.I. and his crew were in Cincinnati, Ohio, for a promotional stop and a performance at Bogart's. The show went well. The crowd was live. Everything felt like a win. Riding that high, the entourage decided to keep the night going and headed to an after-hours spot called Club Ritz, over in Roselawn. Club Ritz was a local hip-hop club, the kind of place artists are expected to show up. It's part of the culture, touch the city, show love, let the locals see you, but it's also where things can go left fast. T.I., Young Jock, and the Grand Hustle crew took a spot in VIP. Feuds was right there, doing what he always did. At first, it was just another night. Then, something small set everything off. Money. Members of T.I.'s entourage started throwing cash into the crowd. To them, it was celebration, but to two local brothers, Hosea and Padron Thomas, it felt like disrespect. Witnesses later said the brothers felt like the money was being thrown at them, not to them, like the out-of-towners were treating locals like they were broke. On top of that, the brothers had tried to get into VIP and were turned away. Egos clashed. Words were exchanged. The tension thickened. Then it got physical. A fight broke out. In the chaos, one of the Thomas brothers was hit in the head with a bottle. That was it. Any chance of cooling things down disappeared. T.I. and his crew knew the situation was going bad. Fast. They did what they were supposed to do, shut it down, and leave. Everybody piled into two large passenger vans, trying to get out clean and head back towards safety. They probably thought the problem stayed at the club. It didn't. Hosea and Padron Thomas weren't ready to let it go. Their pride was bruised, and in their minds, the night couldn't end like that. As the vans pulled away from Club Ritz and headed toward Interstate 75, another vehicle followed close behind, a dark SUV. Inside were men who were chasing blood.
The rap artist T.I. was playing at Bogart's. After the show, T.I. and the entourage comes up to this club in Roselawn. Sometime during their stay at the Ritz nightclub, there is some sort of altercation. Exactly what happened there, still, they haven't got all that sorted out yet. But what happened there carried out here onto the street on I-75, and this is where the shooting started.
Witnesses later said it all happened fast. The SUV that had been lurking suddenly hit the gas, weaving through the light early morning traffic like it had a mission. It closed the gap on the two vans carrying T.I. and his crew, inch by inch, until it pulled up alongside them near the Hopple Street exit. Then, the window rolled down. What followed was an explosion of gunfire, a full barrage. The quiet of the highway shattered as bullets tore into the side of the van, punching through metal, blowing out windows, and turning the inside of the vehicle into pure chaos. Inside, instinct kicked in. People dropped to the floor, trying to disappear. But once bullets are already inside the vehicle, there's nowhere to hide. 3 members of the entourage were hit and injured in the spray. And then one shot landed where it mattered most. Feuds Johnson was hit in the head. He never had a chance. He was just 26 years old.
One person is dead.
Yeah, it continues to be our big story this morning. Rapper T.I. performed at Bogart's earlier in the night. After the show, he partied at Club Ritz on Seymour, and that's where police say all the trouble started.
And when the noise finally died down, T.I. was untouched. The bullets meant for the superstar missed him and took the man who had spent his life protecting him instead. In the days that followed, that truth crushed Clifford Harris. He later spoke about the survivor's guilt that sat heavy on his chest. He was the target. He was the reason they were chased. Feuds wasn't supposed to die that night. He was collateral damage in a war fueled by bruised egos and wounded pride.
The person who died was Big Phil, friend from childhood, close friend.
Yeah.
So losing him was extra painful.
Yeah, I think it was more painful because I knew those bullets were meant for me, you know, and I didn't get hit at all. And he was closer to me than you are, you know. I think that made it hurt even more.
Back in Atlanta, the news landed like a gut punch. Feuds wasn't just some unnamed bodyguard. People knew him, especially in Bankhead. He was family. He was a father with a young daughter. He was the dependable one, the guy who made sure everybody else got home safe. And now, he was coming home in a casket. The Cincinnati Police Department moved quickly. involving a major rap star brings cameras, headlines, and pressure. But under all that noise, the case came down to basics. Find the vehicle, find the shooters, figure out who decided a club argument was worth a life. Attention quickly shifted back to Club Ritz. Investigators zeroed in on the two brothers who'd been at the center of the earlier fight, Hosea Thomas and Padron Thomas. These weren't masterminds or kingpins, just local dudes with a reputation for violence and short fuses. Still, it wasn't an easy case. This was the mid-2000s. Deep in the stop snitching era, people saw things, but they didn't talk. The code of silence was strong, and it almost always worked in favor of the guilty. But the shooters slipped up. They weren't alone in the SUV that night. There were witnesses inside the vehicle itself. One of them was a woman named Janice Gillespie. Her testimony would become a key piece of the case against the Thomas brothers. Even with that, there was still a massive question hanging over everything. What would T.I. do? In hip-hop, especially Southern trap culture, credibility is currency. You don't talk to police. That label, snitch, can end careers, destroy alliances, and put lives in danger. And T.I.'s entire image was built on street authenticity, rubber band man, king of the South, respect. But this wasn't about image, this was Feuds. T.I. faced a choice most people never want to imagine. He could stay quiet, protect the code, and let the men who killed his best friend possibly walk free, or he could tell the truth. Even if it meant risking everything he'd built, he chose Feuds. By cooperating with prosecutors, T.I. crossed a line that few artists at his level were willing to cross at the time, and in doing so, the story of Feuds Johnson became bigger than just another tragedy. The investigation revealed that Hosea Thomas was the shooter. Ballistics matched. Witness statements lined up. The picture became clear. The motive was embarrassment. The brothers felt disrespected, clowned, denied access. In their minds, respect had been taken from them, and the only way to get it back was violence. Their defense tried to flip the script. Hosea later claimed it was self-defense, that they were shot at first, but the evidence didn't support it. The vans were leaving. They were fleeing the situation. The SUV chased them down. That made the intent obvious. When the trial finally began in late 2008, the courtroom in Hamilton County, Ohio, was packed. Cameras watched closely. When T.I. took the stand, it sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world.
You recognize who that is?
Yeah, that's Phil.
Okay.
Oh, that's his body.
And 34A.
Yeah, that's the entry wound.
He told the jury what happened that night. He said plainly that the bullets were meant for him. He made it clear that Feuds Johnson was an innocent man who died protecting his friend. The defense went after him hard. They tried to paint the Grand Hustle crew as reckless outsiders who came into Cincinnati looking for trouble. They pulled out lyrics, images, personas, anything to suggest this was just street business gone wrong. But none of that changed the core truth. Feuds Johnson was shot in the back of the head while riding in a van that was driving away, and no amount of spin could undo that. By November 2008, the jury didn't need much time at all. After hearing the witnesses, sitting with the facts, and listening to T.I. tell his side of the story, they came back with a verdict in less than a day. Hosea Thomas, the man who pulled the trigger, was found guilty on 11 counts: murder, felonious assault, being a felon in possession of a firearm, the whole list. That verdict buried whatever street reputation the Thomas brothers thought they had left. When it came time for sentencing, Hosea Thomas was hit with 66 years to life in prison. He was 34 years old. He wouldn't even be eligible for parole until he was about 100. Over in real terms, it was a life sentence handed down for a nightclub ego trip that spiraled out of control. Padron Thomas, the younger brother and the driver, took a different route. He did what the streets say you never do. He testified against his own blood. In exchange, he pled guilty to manslaughter and assault. The sentence was 10 years, but it came with a technicality that changed everything. It ran concurrently with a 17-year federal drug sentence he was already serving. In other words, snitching on his brother didn't really cost him any extra time. The courts had spoken. Legally, the story was over. But for T.I., the real damage was just beginning. Justice didn't bring peace. It brought paranoia. To understand what happened next, you have to put yourself inside the head of a man who watched his best friend die inches away from him. T.I. was shaken to his core. In his mind, the danger never left. If someone could chase him down on an interstate and spray a van full of bullets, then nowhere felt safe. He stopped trusting regular security. He didn't believe bodyguards and protocols were enough anymore. Fear told him he needed real firepower. That fear slowly turned into obsession. By 2007, T.I. wasn't talking about pistols anymore. He wanted machine guns, silencers, weapons that could match the threat he felt was still hanging over his head. He arranged to buy unregistered automatic weapons, trusting someone close to him to handle the deal. What he didn't know was that the person he trusted most, his own bodyguard, had already flipped and was working with the federal government. On October 13, 2007, just hours before he was supposed to perform at the BET Hip Hop Awards, everything collapsed. Federal agents surrounded T.I. in a Walgreens parking lot in Atlanta. They searched him, then his home, and they found the guns. The King of the South was suddenly in handcuffs, staring at federal charges that could have buried him for decades. When T.I. finally stood before the judge, he told the truth. He said he was scared. He explained that after Feuds' murder, he felt exposed, hunted. He believed the bullets that killed Feuds were meant for him, and that fear, mixed with guilt, pushed him into a mindset where he thought being overarmed was the only way to survive. The judge listened, and in a rare moment of compassion, that trauma mattered. Instead of throwing the book at him, the court showed leniency. T.I. was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in federal prison. While on house arrest and preparing to do his time, T.I. poured everything he was carrying into his music. The result was Paper Trail, arguably the most personal album of his career. The emotional core of that album was Dead and Gone, featuring Justin Timberlake. On the surface, it sounded like a clean radio hit, but underneath, it was a eulogy. T.I. wasn't just rapping, he was mourning. In the music video, there's a shot of Feuds' actual tombstone. That was T.I. publicly saying goodbye to his best friend and to the reckless version of himself that kept attracting chaos. The song was his declaration that the old T.I.P., the guy who thrived on confrontation, had to die so the man could live. He also dedicated Live in the Sky to Feuds, performing it on stage with raw emotion. Night after night, he shouted, "Big Phil, we miss you, shorty," to crowds who might not have known Feuds personally, but felt the loss through the music. And T.I.'s loyalty didn't stop at music. When Feuds died, his daughter Janae was just a little girl, around 4 or 5 years old. T.I. was the one who had to make the hardest phone calls. To Feuds' mother, to his family. He was the one who had to explain to a child that her father wasn't coming back.
I called his mom first, then I told his cousin. I told his little girl.
How old was his little girl?
His daughter was 4 years old at the time. 5 years old at the time.
But he didn't walk away after that. For years, T.I. looked after Janae. He honored the bond he had with her father. In 2017, 11 years after that night in Cincinnati, T.I. posted a photo on Instagram. Janae was all grown up now, a high school senior graduating with honors, holding a 3.8 GPA. T.I. had bought her a car to celebrate. The caption said it all. "See Phil, our loyalty lives forever." He added how proud he was that she stayed away from the street life they were already deep into at her age. Philent Johnson never touched a mic, but through T.I., he became part of hip-hop history.